Okay, so this is how we set up the pivots. This is TOS. It's a blank canvas. So let me enter stock, AMD. To edit studies, we go studies, edit studies, then select pivots. You're going to see many options. And I'm going to select PowerOfPivotsSimple. When you select this, then you click Edit Properties, or you click on this little cog icon right here. So this is the daily chart. So for the daily chart, we use three types of pivots. We use the yearly pivot, we use the quarterly pivot, and we use the monthly pivots. So let's start with the monthly. Okay, so usually the pivot point scripts have only 3 levels, which is the main pivot, R1, R2, R3, and S1, S2, S3. But I have coded all the way to 8 levels. This is because when we play those little MoMA stocks that go vertical, they actually sometimes even go above the R8. But this is more than enough for most of the stocks. If you don't need them, you just click on each one of them and remove the show plots. So I don't need, let's say you don't need R8. Let's say you just want to set up the basic 3 levels. Just uncheck, click here, uncheck. Now do the same for the S pivots. Okay. So we're setting up R3, R2, R1, main pivot, S1, S2, S3. So I suggest you guys to use color codes for your pivots based on time frame, because it's important to know if it's a yearly pivot, a monthly pivot, or quarter pivot, and so forth. So I use for my monthly pivot, I use blue colors, and the way I do it is I put dark colors for the pivots that are the resistance support, and a light color for the main pivot. So set up dark colors, and then main pivot, you select a light version of that color. Okay, so after everything is done, you just click OK and you apply. Okay, so now you see the chart is a little distorted, like too flat and squeezed together. To fix that, all you have to do is go to Style, Settings, you go to Price Axis, and uncheck this Fit Studies. Then apply, or OK. You see it goes back to the same, how do you call, proportion. So you see the dark ones are the resistance and support pivots, and the light colors is the main pivot. To add the other ones, you just do the same thing. So we go PowerOfPivotsSimple and select the quarter and do the same process. So I'm checking on the SR. So on my chart, I have all of the 8 levels. I don't uncheck this just because I like to have them. It doesn't bother me. I'm only gonna see them if they get to the price. So for the quarter, I use purple. Oh, it's not exactly the color I use, but this is just an example. So again, dark shade for the R and S pivots, and light shade for the main pivot. Okay, all done. Yes, okay. Press OK. Okay. So now you have the quarterly pivots. Now you see those gray lines, that's the grid, and this is separation of the expiration. I remove those because it's going to be too much lines and it can confuse you. So to remove that, you go to price. No, it's actually time. You remove the show expiration Friday and show the year marking lines. Okay. Now to remove the grid, the light gray grid line, you go to appearance. So let me do it again. I think I did too quickly. Click here, go appearance, and you uncheck the grid. Okay. So now it's much clearer. I also personally like the background to be black instead of gray, because I just think it gives a little better contrast. Okay, so that's much better. So as you can see, the monthly pivot lasts only for a month. The quarterly pivot lasts for entire quarter, and obviously the yearly grid lasts the entire year. So to add the yearly pivot, you repeat the same process. Power pivots, simple. You click here and you select year, and let's uncheck just to keep consistent. And again, I keep all of this on my chart, and I don't see them because I'm going only to see all of them if the price of the stock is nearby. For the yearly pivot, I use orange shades. So dark orange, maybe. Again, my colors are custom coded, so this doesn't matter. You just pick any color you prefer. Well, let's pick this one for the R and S. Okay, and the main pivot, a light shade of that color. So let's put like this. Pink is all set up. Click OK. And you have the yearly pivot. So as you can see, the yearly pivot lasts 1 year. So let's put here 5-year chart so you can see. See, this is 2017, 2018. So the yellow line follows the entire year. Okay. Oops. Okay, so after you're done, I suggest that you come here and save your study set in case you miss and you don't want to redo all this process again. So let's say Power Pivots POP. Let's put higher time frame. Let's just put higher, right? Higher T. Save. Okay, so this is the higher time frame. I use it for swing trading or TA for the moves that can happen intraday. And to set up the intraday, let's put like a 5-minute. Put 15 days, 5 minutes. Let's say using 5 minutes. This doesn't matter. Just put your preferable time frame. Okay. So as you can see, it shows on the intraday the higher time frame pivots, and that's very important because you don't want to go back and forth from the daily chart or a 4-hour chart to see where is your monthly, yearly, and quarterly pivots while you're trading intraday. So to add the intraday, you do the same process. You're gonna keep those and you're gonna add the weekly, which change once a week, and you're gonna add the daily that changes every day. So I'm unchecking all those that we don't want to use. Again, I keep all of those on mine. For the weekly, I use a gray shade. So moving everything gray. And the main pivot are light gray. So click OK. There you are, your weekly pivots. And notice they change every week. Let's remove this. I think this is probably, that's probably maybe the rollover lines. Yes, so to remove those, you just uncheck. You can just uncheck all of them. Okay. After that, let's add the intraday. So the intraday are the only ones that I don't use the same shade of color. I leave it as it is on my default settings, which is red for resistance, R1, R2, R3, and the green for support pivots. And I leave my main pivot yellow. Click OK. And there you are. Now this is for TOS. Let me zoom in a little bit better. So one thing that I also like to do is, for example, you see how zoom in and nicely it is if I change the ticker. So let's say I want to check now in the middle of the day, I want to check a Tesla or something. You see how we zoom out and get all squishy again? The way you fix that is put in a zoom in setup that you like Let's say you want to see your candles like this big, right? And then you go to settings after you put the way your candles looking like. Slow. Let me load AMD again. Let's see how should have done it before, but it's good to examine. So what I'm doing is I'm stretching the axis, but you can also use the zoom tool or the pencil that you select. I like to do like this because I can customize really stretching this and stretching this part, the X and the Y. Okay, so let's say I like this zone. So you go to settings again and you select keep price zone. Okay, keep price zone on time and price. Price axis keep times price zone, and time axis keep time zone. Click OK. So now when you change, it's gonna stay the same. Let me just find it. I think it's still loading. No, okay, something was not as I wanted. Okay, so let AMD again. Okay, trying to find the day. Okay, right here. I think that is the price that you don't select. So let's unselect the price. Okay, so let's change to Tesla. That's it. So you don't check the price zone. You just check the time zone. Okay. So let's go back to AMD. So on TOS, one more thing that I use is add the TOS pivots because they include the pre-market time zones. You just type pivot points. It's gonna be this one here. It has a little C as copyrighted. So you just add it and leave it as a day. It's just the default settings. You can't select too many things there. And I also leave show only today. No, so just leave it. Okay. Click OK, and there you go. That's exactly how I use my pivots. So if you have any question on how to set up the pivots on TOS using my script, just let me know. So the reason I like to have the TOS is because it can create little zones like this. So this is a zone for me. Yeah, I can either enter here or enter at the top. So it just creates little zones, just like the higher time frames. So for example, this is a yellow pivot, so it's an intraday main pivot, so daily main pivot. And the purple is the quarterly main pivot. So this is a strong zone because I have two pivots right here, one higher time frame and one is the main pivot intraday, which is one of the most important. So you can see after we claimed the weekly pivot gray, remember, it retested on this candle and went to the next pivot. And as you remember, this is the yearly pivot. So it broke through, retested, and once it hold, you can just go long over here. So that's just a basic on how I use it. We're going to do another video later on. So for example, this was Thursday. You see how it creates a little pocket zone and consolidate it a little bit in between until it pushes and retested, hold, and you go long. It's the same process. It's a very simple type of trading. It's just I don't think it's used like this by I don't know anyone that uses like this with all the time frames within, but it really works wonders. Okay, guys, so I'm going to shut down here. I'm sharing the pivot script at the indicators channel. If you have any questions, please let me know. Take care.